What made you decide to go into business here?
I've always told them since I was younger, I don't want to work in this field. I don't want to be in HVAC. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Just whatever a kid wanted to say. And I've taken over the business from my dad, and he has done everything for the past 20 plus years.
What are some of your other core values now that you mention it? Like, how are you inspiring people to stay with Go?
So I actually changed it from our core values to our care values and say how we care for our customers.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast. I'm Roland Ligtenberg. I'm also the co-founder of Housecall Pro. Since 2013, we've been on a mission to champion the trades and champion our pros because the work you do keeps our homes safe, comfortable, and communities running. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros just like you, empowering you all to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. I'm super excited. Today, we've got Tylor Bourque with, how do you say it? GeauxHVAC.
GeauxHVAC, yes, sir.
It's like a cool French kind of looking name. We're going to talk about that because you got a cool last name too. But it makes sense. You guys are in Louisiana and just east of Baton Rouge. GeauxHVAC is on track for $1 million in 2025. You got 3 employees, 2 trucks. You guys are a self-proclaimed, or you are yourself, a self-proclaimed tech geek who's made life easier through smart systems. So we're going to have some fun today. Welcome to the show, Tylor.
Thank you so much, Roland. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your business. You guys were founded a long time ago, but you guys just you guys have been a long time Housecall Pro user. But talk to me about how you came into the business, how that works. What made you decide to go into business here?
So it's kind of a long story, but long story short, I've taken over the business from my dad, and he has done everything for the past 20 plus years. And I mean, he created this company and he's worked in HVAC since before I was even born. And he's had ups and downs, and he's never really had the chance to get going. He's had people stealing from him, health problems. He's had multiple wrecks where people have hit him or pulled out in front of him and he just couldn't stop in time. And he's had health problems. And we're actually going through that again because at the beginning of this year, somebody pulled out in front of him. So it's just, he's never had the break. And I worked with him through high school, tried to learn as much as I could. And I've always told him since I was younger, I don't want to work in this field. I don't want to be in HVAC. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Just whatever a kid wanted to say. And when I was in high school, I got really good grades, and he was like, you don't want to do this. You're too smart for this. So I was actually going to LSU for electrical engineering. And then 2 months before I graduated, a chemical plant came in and said, you know what, we'll pay for your schooling. We'll pay you to go to schooling, and we'll pay for your books and everything. You just go to it and work with us. And I said, you got it. Well, I ended up going to work for the company, and I left here after 5 or 6 years with him in the business. Mm-hmm. And about 3 years after that, something happened at that job, and I just didn't feel safe anymore there. And I don't want to say I regret the job, but it definitely gave me perspective that I'm able to use here. And I told him in 2023, I was like, look, I am coming back. I said, I want to take over the business though. I don't want to be a technician. I said, I've worked in that field. I said, I want to do business stuff. I just love numbers. I'm a math person. I love technology, like you said.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to see what I can do with it. And so he said, you know what? I was actually shutting it down. And this was a real conversation 2 days before I told him that I wanted to come back. He actually sent out letters and got his person in the office to send out letters saying, look, we're shutting down the business. Wow. So I had to come in and I started taking everything over. And in 23, we actually did half of what we did in 24 just because so many people were shut. Like, he told everybody he was shutting it down. Mm-hmm. And so I came in, and what I told him is, look, I'm rebranding. I don't want to live in your shadow, and I want to see what I can do with a name that I can make for myself. And so that's pretty much what I did. And that's why we have GeauxHVAC now. So he owned the domain name, never used it once. And we used to be called Air Dock Mechanical Electrical. And so many people called in, hey, do y'all work on cars AC? Do y'all work on cars? And we're like, no, that's not what mechanical means. So I ended up going to Go HVAC, and I told him, I said, I'm focusing strictly on AC systems. I want to work on HVAC, and I want to dominate one space before I go to another. And that's kind of how I stepped in and took over my place. And it kind of led up to where we are now.
Yeah. And where are you finding the folks that are working with you now? Are they people that came historically that were working, with your dad, or is this like new folks you brought into the business, trained them up, now they're running with you?
So actually, he didn't fire. They actually came to a mutual agreement because they were supposed to be shutting down. That the office lady was going to be going somewhere else, and he gave her an excellent recommendation letter. And
Yeah.
she's big balling now at some big company, and she's doing great for herself. I ended up hiring in the people that we have now, and I found them just through hard work. I mean, I didn't try to use anybody. I was trying to pinch pennies for the first year or so, and I actually just hired in the fourth person into the field. So now I have three technicians, and that one of those includes my dad, but he's kind of, like I said, I'm pushing him out, just getting him out of here. But I just hired in another tech, and I'm just finding them as I go.
That's great. And where are you finding them? Are they coming to you with like little to no experience and you're leveling them up? I mean, you started when you were in the business, you were the helper, you were a service tech, now you're like the owner. Are you doing that full education with them, or are they coming in from somewhere else and then you're telling them, all right, this is the Go HVAC way and this is how I want it done?
So, working with him previously, I've worked with older techs, and working with the older techs, there a lot of them are stuck in their ways, and I don't want to say that's a bad thing, but a lot of them don't want to conform to the values that we have, and a lot of them don't have the values, and so it's kind of hard to put those into somebody. I'm actually taking one of my technicians, and he's up in Nashville right now, getting trained at a technical school. I've just found out about it a few months ago, and I'm trying to see if it works. And if it works, it'll be good. It's called
Yeah.
Total Tech in Nashville. It's supposed to do HVAC, electrical, and plumbing. And I don't know. I'm just trying to see how it goes, and hopefully it works out. And if it does, I'll be able to take a younger guy with great values and great like oomph and so much energy in him and ready to go, and put him straight into the field almost with all of this knowledge, because they're supposed to be taking somebody off the field or off the street, as they say, and putting them straight into a trade.
Got it.
So
And you're obviously investing in them and making sure like that's all taken care of. So you're fronting a lot there, and in return, you're going to get hopefully like a lot of loyalty, and you're going to have an amazing employee for a long time.
I'm hoping so, but you can't ever. I mean, like I've heard on a lot of these podcasts, and a lot of managers always say, don't ever hold someone to the job if it's gonna make
Yeah.
them not want to be there. So yes, I would love the loyalty, and I'd love to have somebody stay, but I also like being able to teach people, letting people learn. Even though it is on my dime, I still have the freedom to do a lot of things that I love to do on a day basis. So why not let them grow and learn with us? I mean, that's one of our core values here, is just to always grow and get better. So
What are some of your other core values now that you mention it? Like, how are you inspiring people to stay with Go?
so I actually changed it from our core values to our care values, and say
Ooh.
how we care for our customers. So I kind of took a kind of what Brandon Vaughn was talking about with his base
Hmm.
in wise codings. I kind
Yep.
of did the same thing. So C is for courageous, always running towards problems, never running away. If you have something that happens, you're always going to be able to step up and take charge and do what's right. Uh, A is for ascend, always trying to get better in your personal and professional lives. So obviously, my technician going up to Nashville getting trained, he was willing, and we actually found out they had an open spot like a week and a half ago. So he really stepped up for that. So he just
Yep.
straight up said, "Look, I'm able to go for 2 weeks and just drop it like that, even though it is on Easter weekend this coming weekend." So he was able to really step up. Uh, R is for reliable, so always wanting our customers to be able to trust us. But not only that, I want to be able to trust them, and I want them to be able to trust me. So I always try and let them know, look, you can always come to me. I'm not going to do anything to spite you. I'm always going to do what's best by you, and I always want to tell you the truth. So if something's wrong, I'm going to tell you. And then efficient is obviously everybody's time is very, very important. And I don't want to waste your time on the weekends, especially with your family or in the afternoons. And I mean, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't waste mine. But even with our customers, you don't want to sit there for 10 hours on a job that should take 2 hours and you're just trying to beat the heat and sit in their cool air. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that's kind of the care values that I'm trying to instill in our technicians and anyone in our field, just because it makes a difference on what you're doing with the customer and how they portray you.
Yeah, and I think there's so many businesses too that are maybe like earlier on in their phases, they don't quite have those value systems like set up yet. But you being able to like have something that's easy to remember, that makes sense, that then aligns with like your own values that you hope to find in your guys or gals, that you're hiring, just smooths that whole just process, and makes it easy for people in the absence of you being around to make the right decision, which I think is like the core problem with a lot of smaller business owners is like, can I trust someone else to like do the right thing, even if I can't pick up the phone or I can't answer the question right then for them? They have to like make autonomous decisions. But having that framework helps a lot, which is super great. What other tips do you have for kind of young business owners, things that, maybe specifically people taking their business over from their dad or their mom, this kind of like family businesses? What kind of tips or wisdom do you have, knowing that now, kind of like looking back at it a little bit?
This is this is going to get a lot of parents a little frustrated, but don't wait for approval. Like that's if you do the research and you are in your gut, you're like, I know this is going to work. Do it, because the longer you wait, the more time someone else has to actually take action on what you were already thinking about doing. So I held back on so many different decisions because I was like, I need to convince my dad, hey, look, this has to work, or this is going to work. This is going to work. But he's more of a old time guy who's like, hey, I'm sticking to pen and paper because that's what I'm used to. Well, now that I've done a few things with technology, he's like, man, why haven't we been doing that before? And I just couldn't explain to him before the benefits, so I had to kind of show him. So just don't ever wait for approval is my main thing.
Yeah, I think in life in general, bias for action will always win. But I think like if you have that relationship with parents or people that like own the business or not, you still have to be able to move fast. I love operating by like, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. Because I think, you kind of mix that action piece with that, and you're always doing what's right for the business. It's like a line. So go do that. I think that helps people get unstuck, versus you might just be spinning your wheels on something, and time is money, and not just money. It like compounds over time. So the more you wait on lots of key decisions, not only will it slow you down, but it's going to set you a lot further back over time because you could have just made those decisions and gone. What else? Like what other tips when it comes to like dealing with like family business? Your dad's like one of your techs. Probably not working too much, but he probably has like a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. How do you like leverage that kind of within the business?
That's actually one of the things that I use to bring people in, just because a lot of people who have, and the guy that I just got, a lot of the people that I was interviewing, they had 5 to 7, maybe 9 years experience, and they're confident in what they know, but then they're always willing to offer up, hey, look, I don't know everything, but I'm willing to find it and I'm willing to figure out the problem. So what I tell them is, I have a guy who has over 20 years experience who you will have his personal phone number. And if you get stuck on a call, don't wait 2 hours to call him. Get his number, call him up, ask him your question, because he has things that I know now, but I can talk to a technician and there's things that these people who have 10 years experience, they've never heard one thing that I've heard that I'm telling them. And they're like, there's no way that works. And it's just a simple little trick. And you're just like, that's an old timey trick, but it works.
Yep. Yep. And I think there's a lot of knowledge out there too. And I feel like for people that have either institutional knowledge or, people that have been around the block that do work for the company, try to like leverage that, because there are those, and there's going to be systems out there that are running, older than, 20 years or more, you know what I mean? So, probably not going to come across too many of them, but they pop up, I'm sure.
Yeah. And kind of back on the whole thing of like, what a tip and everything, don't be afraid to pay for the knowledge at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
I,
Brandon
I
Bond
love,
talks about it, and Jeff Bezos talks about it. Pay for people to tell you how to do your job. Don't pay people for you to tell them how to do their job. I mean, it's always backwards if you do it that way.
yeah, I like, I mean, that's a great golden nugget too, which is, it takes a little bit of like humbleness and putting your ego aside, that allows you to move fast rather than making the mistake yourself and learning the hard way, or spinning your wheels for so many hours when it could have been just a simple, like you said, a 5-minute phone call, just a quick call, try to get that unlocked, get that time back. So, all of that, if you can be humble about it, and set your ego aside when it comes to your trade. I know that, you might have ways you like doing things or whatnot, but there's other people that have experienced that before. If you have that in your company, leverage that, because that's such an asset. I feel like that's super underutilized, and go for it. Go for it. So at what point, you took over the business, at what point we were like, all right, we need to find someone like Housecall Pro. Well, like, how did you even come across it? What were you experiencing? What were you looking for, when you came to use Housecall Pro?
So I was actually on the sidelines at this point. So they've been using Housecall Pro since about 26, end of 2015, beginning of 2016.
Hmm.
I think they didn't really start using it like full on until 2016. And that was like only the basic stuff, using the schedule, the CRM. It wasn't really anything major like the voice and the pipeline and all the features that y'all have now.
Yep.
Uh, but what he told the person in the office is, look, I don't like technology. So find me something that's easy. And that was his only stipulation, user friendly. And that was it. So, I mean, obviously something that was cost effective too for a small business, but user friendly was the main thing. And so she ended up looking at a bunch of different ones, and she landed on Housecall Pro. And I saw like the increase in business, or like the increase in efficiency that she was able to do. And then it went from, they were trying that, and then they tried Jobber in the middle of it, and then they tried Service Titan, and they got into some contracts with Service Titan. It was all over the place. And they used all of these for about maybe a week, and then they went right back to Housecall Pro. And so when I came in, my dad was like, "You're changing a bunch of things. You're not changing this." And my plan wasn't ever to change Housecall Pro, just because of the features that y'all are innovating on every day, and
Yeah.
just everything about Housecall Pro makes it so easy. And I knew having a user friendly interface would be really nice for technicians coming in, especially new technicians that's never used Jobber or Service Titan or any of those. So it makes it easy to train someone up on it, especially for an app like that.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up, because a lot of people are like, "What's in it for me? What's in it for me?" Or like, how can I use it? But the reality is like, as you grow, you're just one, and then you maybe have a team of 10, at a certain point. And so like, imagine the cost, the mental load, how easy is it, use for those folks, because that's going to be inevitably the ones that are really going to use it long term. The office manager, never forget about, maybe it's your spouse that's working for you, maybe, or with you, or maybe it is just, some other office manager, but like, they're the ones living and breathing the thing. So, ask them their opinion, but, just simple UX, UI, making it so what happens when you click a button, that matters, for sure. Speaking of Housecall Pro, like, if you were to go back to the early days of using it, what's something that you have access to now that you wish you would have done sooner? What like business owner like is maybe that's using Housecall Pro isn't using this thing, and you're like, oh man, I should have just been doing this years ago. Like, what is that feature?
There's two. There's two. One of the actual features of Housecall Pro, it's got to be service plans.
Hmm.
Service plans is just a game changer. So they were using, I forgot what they were. They were just using a payment processor and sending over a Word doc or like a Google doc for the customer to sign and send back to them. Then they were going in and manually charging people's cards every single month. And I came in, and that's how they did it in 2023. And I looked at them and I said, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. I said, I'm paying for service plans. I said, I'll pay for it out of my own pocket if I have to, but I'm not doing this. And
Hmm.
so I definitely got service plans really quick, but I wish they would have had it already before, because we could have had so many more service plans already sold because he had over 1,500 people in his system
Oh,
already. So he had maybe 10 to 15 people on service plans because they're just people who are like, hey, I need this and I don't want to go to another company.
yep.
And now I'm offering it, and people are like, whoa, 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 y'all have that? I didn't know y'all had that. I was trying to find someone. And now they're starting to offer it, and it just charges automatically, sends reminders to do it. And we have in our terms and conditions that when it sends the reminder, if you don't call us back or if we don't get you on the schedule for that season, then your contract's void. Like you can't come
You
back
lose it.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lose it because I can't come back next year when you're supposed to renew and say, hey, look, a year ago you were supposed to get serviced. And you're like, oh, well, this part broke and another company came out and they fixed it and did the maintenance while they were there. But you have a service plan with us. So
Mhm.
it's just hard to do all of that stuff. So the service plans makes it a whole lot easier to do a lot of automated stuff and not have to worry about charging it, especially like if someone misses a payment, it sends an email to you and sends an email to them and saying, hey, look, this payment failed. So then you don't have to wonder, is their payment going through? Because it's going to let you know if it doesn't.
Totally,
And then
totally.
my,
How do you sell it? Like, so okay, so let's say you guys come, you service, I don't know, like a blower motor, boom, swap it out. Okay, now how does your guy or gal out in the field go like, hey, Roland, do you want a service plan? Like, how do you sell it? What does it cost? What are the benefits? Walk me through what that looks like, because I feel like a lot of business owners is where they get tripped up.
so one thing that I like to do, this is what I learned from my chemical plant days, is you can put so many processes in place, but if it is not simple, no one's going to follow it.
Hmm.
If it is not simple, then they're not going to follow it. And one thing that I did was I actually implemented this year. I got a binder, a heavy duty binder, and I printed out a pamphlet. And we have three different service plans, and then the pay as you go, which is the yearly. You can get maintenance on in March, and you can get maintenance in November, and you pay per that, but you don't get discounts. And then it has the three different tiers, and the only difference in our tiers is the price amount and the year amount. So like you have a 1 year plan, a 3 year plan, and a 5 year plan, and it bases that price off of that. Well, I have a sheet that shows all of that. And then on the next sheet that they flip, it has how much can you save on average on an average job with our comfort club is what we call it. And so what we have is like diagnostic, the part that needs to be fixed, additional what was it, discounts, and then the total price. Well, then on this side for our comfort club members, we don't charge a dispatch fee. All we charge is the part fee or the price to replace it, and
Yep.
then we give them 5 to 10% off depending on which tier they are.
Got it. Got it. That's
So
cool. And then you'll offer it like either multi-year. So what are the options? Year, 2 year, 3 year? What does that look like? Indefinite, I guess.
we have three different tiers. It's the 1 year, which is we offer it at $30 a month for people who are coming in, and that's just for people who are like, hey, I need to sniff out different companies. It's a little bit higher price just because there's so many people that come in and they just want to use you for a year and then go.
Yep.
The 3 year plan is $25 a month, and that gives you a little bit longer term. It has, you know, for the people that are, hey, look, I use y'all all the time, but I might be moving within the next few years. And then the 5 year plan is only $20 a month. And that's for our long term customers who've used us for years, the old people who still love to use us, but they didn't understand why we were going up in price. And me and my dad sat down and talked to him. We're like, we want to be able to give them the best price ever. Like we want to be able to take care of these people because they've gotten us through the hard times. They've gotten us through everything. So let's do something for them. And so we created our 5 year plan, which is called our Comfort Elite. And the $20 a month comes out to $240 a year. And that's exactly what it was before back in 2018, 2019.
Oh, yeah.
So they're ecstatic, and I'm able to send out these postcards that say as low as $20 a month, and I have people calling saying, "Wait, just one unit is $20 a month for 5 years?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it was before. I don't want to lie to you. This is the best thing that we can offer for our customers that use us long term." And then we
Yeah.
have some customers who come in that are new that are like, "Look, y'all, I like how y'all work. I like what y'all do, and so I'll stay for the 5 years." So it's really easy to sell those things, especially when they have it something looking at them in their face.
I think, look, I'm all about, digital and technology and all those things, but sometimes just being able to like bust out like a binder with some clearly laid out plans, it makes it easy for the folks out in the field just to have that discussion, be like, look, here, I got this. I'm just going to show you some examples. Which one do you want to pick? Versus like, do you want it at all? Or like, oh, let me try to figure out how to show you. I don't know. That's kind of complicated to show. I think the golden nugget you said, which is you got to keep it simple. And so it's really that 30, 25, 20 kind of a month plan, whether it's like the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and then you've got, I think, and that includes then, the free diagnostic effectively. They have to pay for the parts and labor on the thing, but they'll get a discount on it, either 5 or 10%. Like even just me being able to repeat all that, I mean, means it's simple, like it's okay. I heard it, I got it, and that makes sense to me. So I think for folks that are struggling with service agreements, clearly Tyler's got it dialed in, and that works. And like, if you could get that across 1,500 people from back in the day, oh my gosh, like, you'll get there again. But, imagine, you've got 30K worth of, money kind of coming in, right? That's non-trivial amount of money that you can then use to pay the other overhead things like leases on trucks, rent, office, insurance. That's always the same fixed price every month. Housecall Pro, I guess, but you only need probably like 10 to 20 members, if that, to pay for Housecall Pro. What else? Like, let's say you were to recommend someone that's relatively new to Housecall Pro, maybe not a feature. What else would you recommend? What makes Housecall Pro unique to you, and why are you still with us? Even though they took some exploratory paths at some point, like pre you. But what about Housecall Pro else do we have? Do you think other people should listen to or use?
That's where I said I had that second one. It's gonna be the community. The community of Housecall Pro is just nothing like anyone else. I mean, yes, other places have their groups and everything, and I was kind of one of the skeptical ones that was like, oh, super pros, it's not that big of a deal, yada, yada, yada. I just joined like not even 2 months ago, and the knowledge that you get from just a week talking to super pros to forever now. Like I can talk to these people on Facebook, I can message them, and I shoot people messages all the time. Hey, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? And they're willing to help. So it's not like someone's like, hey, look, you can't talk to this person, or you're never going to be able to talk to them. It's people on your level that are right in front of you or right beside you in revenue or systems or anything in the business. And so they're willing to help you. And I mean, I'm willing to help them at all. It's anything that I can do for them. I want to, like I said, I love to help people learn. And just one of the things that is so amazing about Housecall Pro is the community. I mean, even the employees at Housecall Pro, the managers in the Superpro community, they're always connecting people. Like Cheyenne, she just connected me with someone in Baton Rouge who is a smaller HVAC company. They're not a Superpro, and they were looking for somebody who's a little bit bigger than them that can handle some jobs that they can't handle by themselves right now. So she connected us through the Housecall Pro community real quick. And it was maybe a 30-minute discussion. And now I'm supposed to be talking with this person for maybe a lifelong deal.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. And I think too, a lot of people think, oh, okay, well, I don't want to share my things with like another potential competing company. But like even in the same geo, having great relationships with people in the same industry, there's a lot of referral that can go back and forth and just a lot of help. And the markets are so massive. And you're obviously in a really populated area of the world, but whether you're in a small town or a rural town or a big city or big metro, just having those connections makes a lot of sense. And just having other pros to talk to that use the software day in, day out, not just like our Blue Bubble. Although our Blue Bubble is great, they don't use it day in, day out. You guys do, so you guys know kind of like the tips and the tricks and like how it can actually work, and the advanced workflows that you can build from there. So is there anything else, like, what would you tell your younger self? What would you tell younger Tyler, maybe even like a decade ago? What would you tell him, knowing what you know now about life, about business?
Stick to your gut. Stick to your gut, because I've made so many decisions in my past, and now still to this day, that my brain just tells me to run all the time, like freaking out, going running, just like, don't stop, don't look back. And my gut's like, no, you got this. Like, just trust the process. And that's a big thing for me is like, I just have to sit down and trust the process because you can ask a lot of people that know me on the outside. I'm really, really calm, but you talk to my fiance, not at all. She'll tell you that I'm a piece of work that she will forever be the person that hears all of the freak outs, but just trust in my gut because most of the time I'm normally right. It's normally right. Like just stick to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And look, people have an intuition for a reason. And, when you just move towards action all the time, even if you're wrong, sometimes you're still doing something, whereas other people could just be paralyzed. They don't know what to do. And so, speed wins long term. If you can keep that going, as long as you're learning, there's no failure. Just keep that in mind. I love all these golden nuggets. There were so many today, Tyler. This has been a great episode. I'm so glad Shayna was able to get you on. Thank you so much for joining and really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much, man. I'd love to come back in a few years and see where we've grown with Housecall Pro.
Oh yeah, you guys are on a tear. I mean, let's hit that $1 million mark this year. I'm sure you'll get there. Especially get those service agreements sold. Get that base going. Get that base going. Cool. All right. And for everybody else, stay tuned next week for another edition of the Superpro podcast where we interview great Housecall Pro Superpros for tips and tricks. If you're listening, you're not using Housecall Pro and you think it might be something you'd like to take a look at, you can always go to housecallpro.com/podcast deal, or you can always text me directly, 858-215-1512. You can text me and I will reply. All right. Thank you all and see you next week. Bye all.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.